veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capping space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
welcome back, guys. We're here with Married at First Sight, season 16, episode 13. I'm not acting crazy with you tonight. How's everybody?
Good. How are you?
Someone's got me on in the back plane, and it's like I'm getting an echo. I'm not sure what's going on, but so ladies,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is that Mocha? Kimberly, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and Roro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. So yeah, what did you think of this week's episode of Married at First Sight?
It was okay. It wasn't too bad. That what's her name?
Kirsten.
What's that? Yeah.
We'll get to it in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Guys, what else?
I agree. It was okay.
It was just okay. So we had to give it a letter grade, maybe say about a C minus, a C.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they passed.
They just barely by the skin of their teeth. What about you, Roro?
Yeah, same here. They just barely passed.
Just barely passed. My lord. And we're going to get to the whole $3 million house and whether or not a husband should be the sole provider. Who wrote that? Who sings that song, Soul Provider? Does anybody know?
I don't remember. Soul Provider.
Oh, okay. Well, we hope you out there, you having a happy Sunday that are with us. We thank you for checking in and joining us. And we'll go ahead and get started with our first couple. And that would be, of course, this couple here, Clint and Gina. There's Kimberly, is that your Clinty Poo still?
That's still my Clinty Poo.
That's still your Clinty Poo. Oh my lord. Now I think on this episode we know that quite a few of these people in this season's cast are transplants. Of course Mac was a transplant from Michigan, from Flint, Michigan. Not sure. I think Clint is from Houston. I'm not sure where Gina's from because we really don't get a chance to go back and see their home in Nashville, do we?
No.
Yeah. So we get more of the beauty school and Gina and her shop. I am sick of her. And her hair doing hair. I'm sick of her.
Me too.
Is it just me? What are you thinking, Mocha? What are you thinking about this couple?
I'm tired of her. I like him. I really do like him.
I do.
But I'm
tired
of her.
Too.
I'm tired of her doing hair. I'm tired of her and her whatever footwear she has on. I'm just tired of her and the shoulder. I'm just tired of her. Period.
I think that Clint could have done well with just about any other woman. Some woman that really wanted to be married, some woman that didn't have issues with men like Gina does. I think that Gina needs to really examine whether she was really ready to be married. I don't think she's a bad person, but I just don't think that she was ready. And I think that people aren't honest with themselves about not being ready. And I'm not sure if she came on the show just to promote her salon or clout chase or whatever, but it's really not a good look for her.
I agree.
No, I agree too.
Kimberly, what are your thoughts specifically about this couple?
Yeah, I agree. I missed the footwork. Now I gotta go back and pay attention to her shoe closet. But
Okay.
yeah, I agree. I'm just the salon. Why are we there? Like a get together in the salon. What is really going on? I don't have anything negative to say about Clint. They were saying at the beginning that, oh, if you go back and watch the first few episodes, you won't like Clint anymore. And I watched those episodes and fell in love even more. So I don't know what it is. I'm glad that others are coming on board and they're liking my Clint now. But as far as they go, I do like the little soccer outing. I like that they are getting out more. I do love the letter writing. It's not something I've ever done. I don't know if y'all have done that, wrote a letter to yourself. That's the
No,
common
I
thing.
haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the common thing for Mavs, and I'm surprised I never been interested in even trying it since we see it so much. But it was nice to see them, get together and talk and dig a little deeper about their past.
Right, right, right. I do too. Hey, Wes, to see you out there. Thanks for chiming in on what you think about Clint and Gina. He says Clint and Gina are simply filming scenes so they don't get fined.
But
I'm
you
not
know
so
what?
sure if I 100% agree with that. Go ahead, Mocha. What were you going to say?
No, I was gonna say when they were talking in the salon when they got done when she was talking about how now she said she was a bartender
Mm-hmm.
and then she
Yes.
decided that she had been doing hair. I guess when she was younger, she was doing hair, and she decided that she wanted to go to beauty school, and she was working at a bartender, so she didn't have to worry about money. And
Mm-hmm.
then he went on to talk about being a, I think he said he was a pilot, and then he
Yes.
got into tech, right?
Yes. Yeah, that
But
was
then
very
he said,
interesting. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then he said something to the fact like she changed her career or whatever. I'm like, Clint, like you lost me on that one, bruh. That wasn't like a career change, not like where your career change was.
Thank
Right.
you.
Right, right. Well, you know what? I think that's always going to be a matter of opinion in a sense, though, that for her, she was making good money and she felt like it was. But often kind of thought that when we looked at Gina and Clint, that he kind of came from a more stable financially, just financially stable two-parent home versus her single parent home versus her being a barmaid or a bartender. We see that there's some social economic differences, and I really think that that played a big part in their honeymoon when she got upset with him. I think she's kind of harboring some resentment about how he grew up. That's just my personal, I put things
But
together, and that's how it looks to me. But go ahead.
but also she said, I think that you guys tell me if I'm wrong. She said she was 18, I think. Didn't she say she was 18?
18 when what
Beauty school?
happened?
When she went to beauty school, did she say she was? I remember her saying something about being 18
Oh no, I
in
didn't. I
there.
didn't catch her saying an
I
age
thought
because
she
I'm
said
Me either.
she was like 18 or something. And I was,
maybe,
know what it
maybe.
is? I'm kind of checked out on her. So
Yeah,
that's
I
why,
don't think
yeah.
she was 18 because here's the
Hmm.
thing. I think that she wasn't 18. She said she was a bartender for over 13 years. So even if you
Oh, it
add
was
that
over
up,
13 years.
so
Okay, okay.
so at 21, I don't know about anywhere else. I thought across the country it's a 21 drinking age, and it's also typically if you're serving alcohol, you have to be at least 21, right? So somebody has a
I don't
TV
think
on in the
so.
background. Does somebody have a TV on in the background with us playing? Because it's you gotta turn that volume off. Okay, so anyway, so I think that there is a thing with her. She was 21. If you add 13 to that, that brings her up to 34. I think she's probably was in her 30s before she went back to school, or late 20s before she decided to go.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. But
Okay.
Yeah.
they
Okay.
don't really give you a clear timeline. You have to
Right.
just kind of add the pieces and the dots and connect them together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I may have missed that part of it, but
It's okay. Roro, any thoughts before we move on to our next couple?
Yeah, I mean, she said she was working at 14, but I thought she said she was doing something like broadcasting at 14. Then she
No,
went to
she said
college.
she went. I think. Well, I got that she went to college for broadcasting. I didn't get that she was actually broadcasting herself at 14.
Yeah, she
I don't
said
know
she
where
was
these
doing
ages
something
come
at
up at because I've
14.
I've never really heard her mention any ages of any of these things. But you guys are hearing something that I missed because I didn't hear any
Yeah.
ages mentioned. I just hear uh her mentioning this and that, and then so for me as a viewer, I just put together that most people enter college when they're if it's a traditional student when they're 17, 18, or 19, right? So
Right.
I'm not hearing any ages because typically on this show they don't really give ages like that. They don't really give you a clear timeline. You have to connect the dots from what they're saying. But I know she said she was a bartender. The one thing I do know, she said she did that for 13 years. So that already puts her in her mid 30s.
Okay.
But we're gonna move on. I think Wes has got his feeling about Clint. I feel like Clint though. Oh, let me read this comment real quick. Wes says that I think Gina came on the show thinking that she would get someone like Tom Brady. Oh my God, no. She's keeping her distance because she's matched with great value Bradley Cooper.
Oh
Not
wow.
not great value.
I
Uh-uh.
think for who she is and where she is in life, I honestly believe like Clint is a great catch for her and for many women.
Hmm
I mean,
I
if
Yes.
you're
think so
not
too.
Giselle Bundchen to marry Tom Brady because she's a whole supermodel, and Gina is not a supermodel, and I think that Clint is quite attractive. I like gingers. I love gingers, and I think he's good. He said he had. Oh, one last thing. He said he had size 9 feet at the age of 9. He had these big feet. So, okay, enough said.
All right.
So let's move on. So I don't know what
Enough
else.
said.
I don't
Mic
know what else
drop.
she wants.
Mm.
But moving on to the other boring couple,
Oh.
Nicole, Nicole, and her friend, her husband, Chris.
Mm.
Um, Kimberly, if you want to lead us off and get us started with this couple, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So we get Nicole going deeper again. One thing I don't like about Miss Nicole is she speaks so highly and positive of Chris all the time, but when she refers to herself in her past, it's always
Mm,
picking out the negative. And I just, it bothers me. Hopefully, she'll, grow and get out of that, maybe with some therapy, which is one thing I
yes.
believe all the couples need on this season. Well, everybody in
Oh,
life. Let me start there. Everybody
yeah,
needs therapy.
yeah. But
I'm not just
particularly these people though. Go
yes,
ahead.
right,
Hmm
right. So they're going with their little letters to this season. So I like it. Talking about how she used to go with just what her friends wanted growing up. And now I guess I like that she put that part out there because now I can see why she's been so boisterous and strong in what she wants now because in her childhood she just went along, I guess, to make friends or whatever. So yeah, they go to the paint store and pick out some paint and have a cute little paint date night.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
what did you guys think of her talking about herself as a teenager? How rebellious she was, how she would do things, and how her parents set no actual boundaries for her.
To me,
Anybody?
I,
to me, that just goes to show you that if you don't set boundaries with children, they're going to do, what children do. They don't really know the right thing. So that's why
Right.
hmm
parents have to teach them and set those guidelines and boundaries.
All
So,
right now.
yeah,
hmm
you have to do that, or else they're going to do exactly what she did, the wrong thing.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. And I think that what Kimberly said. Well, you two both have excellent points. I'm going to go to Mocha and see what if she has to. She wants to add anything in here too about these two.
That whole painting thing with her putting that plastic tape mustache on her face got on my nerves.
Yeah.
Talking in
Oh,
that fake French Italian voice. I was like, girl, if you don't take that thing off your face right now, that
right.
But
What was that
and
really about?
I
But
mean, and I
mhm.
understand she want to have some fun and whatnot, but after what? Because this is my thing. Like looking at, kind of comparing them to not Chris, Lindy and Miguel from last season, right?
Yes. Yes.
After a while, like it's gonna be, it gets to be old and tired, and
Yep.
mhm,
she has so many issues. She's constantly down in herself, she's doing all these things. After a while, it starts to wear on you, and she would get on my nerves. If I was her spouse, it would start to get on my nerves.
Right.
And with her, it's too much. It's just it's just too much for me. It's just too much, and that's why I try to watch it, and then I had to watch it twice, and I just
These are two of the couples that you kind of black out on. I mean,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I can't remember because I just check out of it because I'm like, are you kidding me right now
I think
with
one of
this?
the other things, though, maybe, and I'm wondering because when you say it's too much, but I'm wondering what the it is, and I'm thinking that maybe what it could be for, like, I know for myself, this whole idea that she has, I don't know if production told her this, or some counselor told her this, or somebody who was married told her this, that you have to tell your mate every single thing about you in the first 8 weeks that you meet them or marry them.
Mm,
That is just cray cray. Like, nobody needs to know every single thing you've done in your life, especially all the bad stuff and all the failures and all the failed
mm,
relationships. I think the two of them, I get so sick of them talking about, who had the worst boyfriend, who had the worst girlfriend. They both
Yes,
apparently put up with
right.
a whole
Exactly.
lot of stuff that a average healthy self-esteem person would not tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Allowing somebody to burn me with a cigarette is never going to happen. Never.
Yeah.
Never, never.
Mm-mm.
So I think that those are the things that really annoy me about her and her man, her husband, Chris. They
Mm-hmm.
just talk about these things instead of, like, let's talk about the future that we have together. Let's talk about, let me know some things about you, but they don't have to be also trauma filled. I think that's the other thing about
Right.
these two. That when people say they're trauma bonding, it really does
Yes.
seem like they're trauma bonding,
Y-
you
I,
know.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you because it's like you start looking at what are your goals in 5 years, or what are your goals in 2 years, or what do you think 6 months down the line might look for us. Like
Right.
look at those
Yeah.
things like that. Like we don't need to go and revisit the past because the past is hurtful. Let's not
Yeah.
Exactly.
revisit that past like that. Leave that for our therapy sessions apart, not therapy together, therapy apart, and let's
Or
look at how we can go
or
together for the future.
a very excellent point, Mocha. Or if you are actually with these people, like, I mean, if it's actually something that is in the moment, that there's a problem in your relationship currently now that is related directly to something you feel like from your past, then that would make sense. But just all this sharing, oh, this knick-knack and that paddywhack, give a dog a bone, it's just too
Mm,
much. It's
It's
just
too
too
much.
much.
yeah.
It is too much. But so we progress on to Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Ant-Man. Ant-Man right here. Um, Eris and Jasmine. Okay, guys. Anybody want to go ahead and tear Eris up today? Because I'm tired of it. I am so tired of this man with his toxic ways.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll start.
Oh, go ahead, Mocha. Go
I'll
ahead, because I was going to go.
start
Go
with.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Get
Okay.
started.
All right. So when I rewatched it, I could give him a little tiny bit more grace. I mean, I'm talking about a mustard seed more grace, a mustard seed more,
Okay. Okay.
because he also needs therapy. He's hanging on to the stuff with his father. He's really hanging on to it for dear life, because I'm convinced now after watching the episode his father was locked up. I'm really
Mm.
convinced that his father was locked up.
I've been wondering
Um,
what kind of individual his dad was. Go ahead. What makes you
yeah.
think that,
Well,
though? What makes
he
you think
talked
that?
about what makes me think that was that letter that he has that he read. I looked at the show again, and the letter, it was a typewritten letter, and it had a card attached to it, and the card looked like it may have been from an attorney or whatever, but
Hmm.
it
Okay.
looked like in the way the letter led the wait, I'm gonna get my word. The way the letter read, I was right when I said that. It was like it was from someone who was in jail.
Mhm.
Like the
Mhm.
way it sounded, like he can't wait till he sees them or whatever. He didn't talk about, I'm going to try to get to see you, I can't afford to get there. Like most people would say, I can't afford to get out to see, come to see you, or I can't afford to take a plane or a train or a bus or whatever. But it didn't give me that vibe. It gave me that vibe like he was in jail, that he may have been, you know allegedly in a private jail where he's now just able to send a letter out or whatever to let them know he's thinking about both, him and his mother.
Mhm.
And that's just the vibe that it gave me, that his father
Okay.
was in
Okay.
was in jail.
Okay, hold that thought for a second. Anyone else
Hmm.
think that Eris's father might have been incarcerated while he was a young child, or at
I
some
can see
point?
it.
You
I
can
can
see it
see it.
also. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. When I think about it, the same way Mocha was saying, I can see that because to me, the fact that his father died, I know that was traumatic for him as a young child, but it just seemed like, okay, at some point you're gonna have to kind of like, understand that this happens, that's a part of life, and kind of move on. But he was just too stuck on that for me. He really is. As an adult, he is just too stuck on the fact that his father died. It happens to a lot of us. It happened
Well,
to me.
he's had a lot of
Yeah.
death. It seems like in his family, or in
Hmm.
his family and friends. But the other thing is, I can see that. Um, to me, what I feel like is he worships his father. That's the thing that I'm
Hmm.
upset about for him, that he does need therapy for. Like, his father is so perfect. We see this a couple of times in this show, not just with him, but we're going to get to
Mhm,
her in a minute. But Kirsten
Hmm.
also puts her father
Right.
up on this pedestal. He puts his father up on a pedestal, and I'm trying to understand. Well, at some point as an adult, now I lost my father at 19, and sure, I was a daddy's girl, and I thought that the world revolved around him. But after, as I grew and grew and grew and grew, I also was able to right size my father's image and see that he was a flawed man, like every other man on the face of the earth, like every other woman, like every other person. He was a
mhm,
very good man. He was a responsible man. He stayed married. He was with my mother. He was a good father. But I don't see any of these things in him talking about his father, that he's so good and he's so, worship him and puts him up on this pedestal, because for one, he wasn't with his mother. He didn't stay with her. He wasn't
Hmm.
involved in his son's
right.
life. So if now, unless he was incarcerated, which is possibly an option, okay, so then you're not going to be with your son for those reasons. But then at some point, he obviously, well, unless he was actually unalived in prison, because we don't know.
That's what I
We
think.
we just know that he was unalive. But for whatever reason, Eris really had no known contact or relationship with his father other than a letter and a picture and a obituary. Like, really? Like, really?
Right.
That's what
So
I'm
what can he
saying.
possibly teach you? And then I'm also concerned, like, what other men were in your life to give you these ideas that having orgies and being involved in orgies and women with big behinds are more important than women without big behinds? I mean, like, where do you get all these ideas and concepts from, sir? Because you sound really crazy. You sound really, really crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what I think. Well, the way he talks, you remember he talked about his father and his sneaker collection and riding with. I think he said about riding with his father in the car. So I think that his father, because his father may have been incarcerated, his father was abruptly taken away from him. Like the comment says here, he was taken away so violently from him and put away that those he's holding on to those memories for dear life. And his father may have been unalive while he was incarcerated. So
Oh.
he's just hanging on to those memories, he's just hanging on to that for dear life, and has put his father, it made his father into like this martyr,
Yes,
of
that's it.
manhood,
That's
Yeah.
exactly
this
it. A
martyr of
martyr.
manhood. And then these
Mm-hmm.
men, then these other men in the street, his friends, maybe uncles, the internet,
Mm-hmm.
all this have told him a woman isn't a woman unless she got a big booty, big breast, she's
Mm-hmm. Hip
doing this,
hop
that, and the
Mhm,
culture.
third.
Hip hop
Yeah, the hip
culture.
hop culture. So and
Mm-hmm.
and he's moved around a lot. He's moved around, so he's never really gotten in good roots anywhere. So that
Mm.
all of that puts into the mix to make him into the man that he is today.
Okay.
All of
Okay.
that could be possibilities. What do you
What do
think,
we?
Kimberly?
I agree. I think also Aries is playing the game right because y'all see how he has a good balance. He goes from talking about the hot and heavy time,
Mm.
which makes us roll our eyes, and then he bounces over to the dad, and how he grew up without the dad, and how he was for the streets. It's like he goes back and forth. Um,
Mm.
playing, kind of playing with our emotions, I guess. But I'm just so glad to finally see Jasmine
Mm.
take on the Kirsten role, because now
Thank you.
Jasmine has shut down, and I love it. Go,
Thank you.
Right.
Jasmine.
That's what I
Stay
was about to
strong.
say. I was just about to segue when Mocha was finished up. I was just about to segue into, and what do we think about our girl Jasmine? Because
Mm.
Jasmine, and I don't like to promote this that R and that that K, but when a woman's fed up, okay. All right, okay. Because when a woman's fed up,
Mhm.
because she's done with him, I can see it now. She's saying a few nice things here and there, and saying, possibly the marriage, da 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 da. But I can look in her
Mhm.
eyes and see she's as done with him as burnt toast. Like,
Oh yes.
and
Mhm.
Yeah.
good for her because he's a piece
Mhm.
of you know. But go
Hmm.
ahead, you were saying, Kimberly.
Yeah, so but did y'all notice how in Eric's letter he was all about, crying and expressing himself, and Jasmine,
Mm-hmm.
she was more focused on, being bullied and not fitting in. And I think that was kind of a subliminal message to Eris, because that's exactly how he's treating her, how she was treated
Mm-hmm.
as a young child. So I think that was very calculated for her to bring out that point in her letter, like, yeah, I was
Mm-hmm.
bullied and not accepted as a child, and now my husband is doing the exact same thing. So I look
Mm-hmm.
forward to seeing
Mhm.
what happens, like what Eris does with that information.
Right, right. And I really felt like I'm going to say this. We agree on some things and disagree on others, but I don't think that it was even calculated. I think sometimes in finding your voice, sometimes you're right, Kimberly. To this point, things do come back from the past, but he has clearly made her feel unwelcome,
Hmm.
unappreciated. But yet she could take care of him when he was sick with C19. She could
Mm.
feed him. She could feed him grapes. He could eat off her plate. He just abused and used her, which is probably what he does to all the women in his life, which is
Yes.
why his
Mm.
cousin thought that he wasn't ready for marriage, which he absolutely is not. He acts more like a
Mm-mm.
16-year-old than a 39-year-old. But
Mhm.
I'm glad that she found her voice. But whatever it was, I certainly could relate. Like she said, that when people
Yeah.
think you're strange, think you're different, think you're speaking like you're a Caucasian, when you're just talking and speaking the way you've always spoken. And that's also because I felt that early on with his cousin. His cousin is ghetto, and she wants to put
Mhm.
this whole disclaimer over all the black culture and all the black people in the world that we're all supposed to speak and smile and think alike. We all do not. We are very
Nope.
non-monolithic people. We are all
So
different.
true.
We are Republicans, we are Democrats, we are independents, we are Green Party, and whatever else. Girl, we do not all think alike, and we are not all from the same social economic group. I want you to know, okay?
Hmm.
All right, you understand me?
Mhm.
For real.
Yep. That's right.
Period.
Yeah, period. We could just move on from these people because I feel like he just came to play in the streets and he's nobody good and he needs a lot of therapy before he's even ready to have a dog.
The
That's
shocker.
that's the way I
Mhm.
feel. That's the way I feel about Eris. He's just, he's poop.
It was two shocking points about him, though.
Oh, wait a minute. Go ahead. Did I miss something? Go ahead. What are the two shocking points before we move on?
Real quickly, okay, I was shocked that he said his therapist pointed
Yeah.
out some things.
He went one time, but go ahead.
He did go one.
He went for one visit.
Okay, then that I guess that don't really matter.
He think it's like going for an annual physical. Therapy is much deeper than that, sir. But go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I guess that don't really matter. And also, even though he worshiped his father and puts his father on a pedestal, in his letter he said he have to forgive his father. So he was angry that his
Mm.
father left.
Okay. Okay. So he did. Well, you know what? I feel like you're right that he finally got in touch with his feelings. And now, to
Hmm.
what Kimberly just was saying a moment ago, uh, Eris is starting to get in touch with his feelings and he's allowing himself to put it out on the TV because one of the things, wait a minute, I took a note and I thought this was really interesting. And even though I do not like him, I had to give him credit. He said the black boys, where is that noted about the black boys doing things to fit in? So he was also attesting to what Jasmine was basically saying too, that sometimes our youth, our black youth, we grow up in a culture, in a community. Some parts of our culture feels like it's not okay to be smart. It's not okay to be geeky. It's not okay to be nerdy. It's not okay to be good at math. You know, people want to keep you down to where they are. They don't want you to go off to college. They don't want you to graduate. You're talking, you're speaking like you're a white person. All of these various things that I'm sure that most of us, these 3 ladies or 4 ladies of us on the panel, we've all experienced these things, right?
Oh yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
for
And
sure.
so
definitely.
I could relate to when he said that. He did say something very powerful, that Black boys, especially, are taught that therapy is not good, that counseling is not good, that mental health is something that you should ignore. So I think that he was right on the money, because we see on another show called Put a Ring on It, we see a guy Dunbar breaking down because of his mental illness and his fear that if he let it be known that he has these problems with depression, anxiety, that his woman will leave him.
Yep.
So he did have a point. I got to give him a point on that. But I still say that he knew in his heart of hearts when they asked him to be on this show, and I do feel like he was recruited, just like I felt like Mac was recruited, also not prepared to be on this show, not prepared to be married. Okay, but I feel like these people, these men, are being recruited, and some of them don't have the good common sense and decency to say no. I'm not ready. I like being out here
Yep.
being in orgies. I like having sex with other different women, 1,001 women. The guy just slept with her. Now I'm gonna sleep with her. How nasty and gross is
Ugh.
that? Like what? Ugh.
He's
Are
still
you
a troll.
serious? I mean, never mind the fact that Mocha Meme and I are covering seeking what is it? Seeking
Seeking
brother.
brother husbands.
Never mind that. You know, don't call me, don't say that I'm a hypocrite because I'm just covering the show. This is not a lifestyle that I would be interested in. But
Me either.
I think the whole orgy thing, like, that's really gross. And that the fact that he would come on this show as a 40-year-old man, basically, and toot his horn about that. Because I want to say one last thing about Eris. Everybody's looking to find out what they can find out wrong with Jasmine. It's her teeth. It's her this. She don't have a big enough behind or whatever, derriere or whatever, right? But has anybody ever stopped to think that Eris is 39 years old? His equipment may not even be still working.
Oh,
Hello?
Uh-oh.
oh,
Well,
Okay. All right now. All
mm,
right now. Because why do you think they came up with all these pills? Blue pills, yellow pills, purple pills for these men. Trust me, it wasn't for the 80-year-old guy. They're not really
Nope.
worried about the 80-year-old guy, but it's the 30s, the 40s, and the 50-year-old guy that everybody was really concerned about. And Eris is in that age bracket, about to hit 40. So, okay.
Yep. And when I said that on my channel, the people went crazy, but I came speaking from
Oh,
working at a
did you?
urologist.
Did you
oh,
say
Yes.
that? I
wow.
missed
Listen, oh
that.
no,
I
yes, because
remember.
I worked at a urologist for 3 years and I'm nosy. Okay, I didn't get this
Yes.
review name for nothing. So I was reading
Yes.
the charts, and a lot of our clients were in their 20s and early 30s.
I'm here to
Yep.
tell you, I was a
It's
20-year-old
definitely
woman.
possible.
And I met a man, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And he had to tell me on fast, quick, and in a hurry, "I can't." Well, why can't you? I'm beautiful. I'm sexy. You sexy. You. He said, "Oh, because I can't because it ain't functioning." 20 in his
Yes,
20s,
yes,
Mhm.
mid 20s.
Yeah.
Okay, hello.
Let
Yep.
me
yep,
So don't
tell you,
tell me about
So
these
sad.
men out here.
I worked on a heart floor, and there used to be guys would come in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Diabetic kills
Mm-hmm.
erections, being diabetic,
mm,
high blood pressure, because you don't get no blood flow down there.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
No blood flow. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they selling the hot honey, whatever, at the gas station, the blue
Girl.
pills at the gas station, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff at the gas station, and they're stopping at the 7-Eleven or the Quickie Mart before they go to the
Mm-hmm.
woman's house.
Right.
And
And
mhm,
you
then
know,
they end up in the
and
ER because they done
right.
had too much
Thank
of it.
you. Thank you. Who was it? It was on a show with the guy he had taken too many of those pills and they couldn't even get him to go, to relax down there. But see, but men
Yep.
are always talking up under women's skirt and never forgetting about the fact that they got equipment, and some oftentimes when they get a certain age or they've lived a
yes,
certain lifestyle with drinking a whole lot,
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of drugging, or like you pointed out, even unfortunately chronic conditions like
Yep.
diabetes, high blood pressure. Oh, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposed to be all Jasmine's fault. Oh, I doubt it.
nope,
I doubt
nope.
it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard
I,
those comments. Really
Yep.
mean.
Mm-hmm. Because Jasmine's ready.
yeah, she
She's
ready.
ready to be a wife.
She is ready to be a wife. She's probably the most. Her and Clint are, to me, are two of the most prepared people on this whole entire season.
Yep, I
Wait a
agree
minute
with
now.
that.
What Stay Tuned saying? As a man, I can say that a number of black men are hesitant to letting a woman know that he goes to therapy because of the judgment that comes with it. Sometimes you're right. Well,
Yeah.
It
sometimes,
depends on the woman.
right. I was gonna say, and sometimes to me, really though, it's his own understanding that in our community, men and women will judge him poorly for it. So that's the thing that he has to really figure. If he's with a woman that he can't trust her with his heart, he can't trust
Mm,
her to not make fun of him, then is he really with the right woman?
right.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
I don't know, but I do get what you're saying. I got a story behind that, but we're gonna move on to this next couple because I got a lot to say about these people too.
Mm,
The $2.3 million home that
mm,
Kirsten took her man to look at, and I'm looking at her and I'm listening to her, and I'm saying to myself, she doesn't sound like a very good salesperson. Is it just
mm-mm.
me? She doesn't sound like a very good and professional and talented realtor. Is it just me, or did you guys get something else out of it?
I understand what you're saying. I got that too. She didn't describe the home very professionally.
Yes.
It was like it was as if I went to the house and was looking around. Oh yeah, those are vaulted ceilings. Oh yes, that's a really nice size room.
Thank
That
you.
type of thing is something I could say. And I'm not
Yeah.
a
Thank
realtor. I'm
you.
not professional.
Thank
So I understand what you're saying.
you. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but now let's just get on to it now. So then when they finish looking at this home and she's giving him all the feels about, oh, our children running around in it and whatnot, and that he just has to buy them a home. And it
No,
has to
buy
be,
her a home.
well, no, okay, but we're gonna disagree on this because she said that
Mhm,
later, but additionally twice
mhm.
she said buy us a home. She said buy us a home. Later she did say yes. She did say, I want to be able to tell my friends that you bought me a home. But regardless of all of those facts, how do you feel? This is my point, my question. How do you feel about her asking him to be the sole provider? I'm gonna start with Kimberly.
Check, please. I support it 100%. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. Thank you.
I support it. Buy me a
I
house,
don't got
pay
no
all the
problem with her.
bills.
Thank you.
No problems. I've said multiple times in my relationships, because I am a financial coach and I believe in being debt
Hmm.
free, that I believe couples should live on one income. So I've, presented in my relationships that I would love for the husband to provide, the main bills, and then my income could go towards like health insurance and travel, so we can make sure that we're not
Hmm.
only paying bills, but we're treating ourselves as a bill too, and enjoying life, enjoying the money that we work so hard
Amen.
for. So I'm
Amen.
all for it.
Mhm.
Go, Kirsten.
Yep.
Thank you. Bravo, Kirsten. And then let me say this. Let me say this. I've heard this from about three different, very successful, very long term married couples that part of the advice they were given early on before they got married was from, a father or mother or uncle was this, was that two people go into a marriage and they get married, be able to provide on just one person's income, because let's
Mm-hmm.
be realistic, to have a baby is very serious. You could lose your whole entire life carrying a baby to term, and
Yeah.
women do every day, even with modern technology. And so for me, for Shaq to come into this and not be aware of that, I felt like that was like, you're not prepared to be a husband.
Right.
Not to say that
Yeah.
there aren't women
Mm-hmm.
that are willing to meet a man 50-50 or 70-30
Mm-mm.
or whatever, but I also think about this 50-50 thing. If he is making more than she is, why should she be paying $1,000 on the mortgage and he's paying 1,000, but he makes 6, 7, 8,000 a month? That makes no sense. And she makes 1,500. So you mean to tell me she's got $500 left over to do what with?
I agree.
But let's go to Mocha, because I know you got plenty to say about this couple and those finances and that house being bought.
All right. So first of all, we're not even sure if they're going to make it to decision day.
Mm-hmm. True,
So we
true,
need to
true.
talk.
Go with
We
your
need to
comments.
downsize from the $1 million house.
Oh yeah.
Downsize that down to a something that's more affordable. And I know he did talk about student loans. I believe he talked about student loans and that
Yes.
stuff. So let's get the finances. Let's see if we're going to make it past decision day. Let's get the finances in order. And I totally can understand her being a stay-at-home mom and taking care of the kids. While I mean, he's going to be have a doctorate, I'm guessing, in education or whatever. That I can
Hmm.
understand because I was a stay-at-home mom myself when my kids were little. So I totally can understand that, and I don't have an issue with that. But her, that, and I think she brought up changing the car from a Mercedes, upgrading to a Lamborghini, and I'm guessing that that must have just been a joke. But let's just slow the car down and let's be reasonable. That's my only thing with her. Let's be reasonable with it
Okay.
and really think it through and not rush. I mean, you just allegedly got it on and popping a few days ago. So
Hmm.
let's see how it progresses and everything. Because a week or so ago, you wasn't liking his bald head. Now you want him to buy you a house. So let's see. Let's slow it
Okay. Okay.
down and see.
You got some excellent points. Okay, and Roro, what are your thoughts about buying a house? Whether it's a $250,000 house or a $290,000 house or 2 million. I don't think that she really thought that he was in a place to buy her that home. He wouldn't have been on this show if he had that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
money.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought she was showing him the house. I didn't think that she was telling him, this is what I want you to buy us, in 3 months when your lease is up, but I don't have a problem with her telling him what she expects from him. And if and in my experiences, not just in my own failed marriage but also in knowing other marriages, in most cases the husband expects to be the sole provider or the head of the house, so to speak. So how else are you going to do it? you know um to me, that's the best way to allow him to do that. um
Mm-hmm.
as far as income goes, as far as finances goes. Um, and living off of one income, I agree with that. But I also agree with Mocha about, hey, we got to put these things further down the line. We need to first make sure that this marriage is stable and is going to last before we start talking about high finance things like a house and a better car.
Right, right, right. Um, well, okay, all right then. And so, what else did we have to explore with them? Did you guys see the scene where she was eating her salad and just chewing on that salad and trying to talk? And and my boy Shaq got just frustrated with her. What do you think that was, Kimberly?
Oh, I don't know. That kind of threw me off. But yeah, she was focused on eating her food. But maybe it's because she had already seen the pictures and heard the story before, but she still should have been attentive and listened, to his story just for the sake of filming, if nothing else, just
Mm-hmm.
because the cameras are there. But maybe she was just hungry. I don't know. I didn't understand that. But it made me nervous that Shaquille is seen as like the glue because that is a lot of pressure for the
Uh,
family,
Wait a
for
minute.
him being
Seen as the glue. Glue to what?
I think his sister said that he's the one that kind of holds the family together. He's the one that's planning
Oh yes.
everything.
Oh
So that's going
yes,
to be
yeah.
a lot of pressure on him if
Mm-hmm.
he plans to continue this role after marriage and children, because he's going to need to spend more time with his family that he's creating. So then, what's going to happen to the family if they can't keep themselves together and they're dependent on Shaquille?
Right, right, right. I felt like there was something said as I was watching others content on YouTube, and I found out or I heard something. Now I'm not sure how true this is, but it kind of made more sense to me is that allegedly Shaq is first generation American. His family is originally from Africa, from Ethiopia specifically, from that region. And so that made sense to me that when I thought about his because this isn't the first time where I've seen him get nervous about finances. It seemed like there were some other issues on some other earlier episodes, and I don't have them written down right now to tell you what there were, but I notice every time finances and money comes up, it's like he's always kind of quaking in his boots. And I understand that these people are married. They married each other as strangers, which that's the first thing why people would be concerned about when someone brings up money. But I feel like in a real life marriage and or dating to marry, that you shouldn't distrust one another, right? that someone is telling you something to harm you, but you should definitely look into it and do your research, right? But I really was concerned. I think that Kimberly, oh, too, you were talking about the family. That's a very good point, that he's doing a lot of work to keep his family intact, to have these reunions. There's a lot of effort that
Mhm.
goes into that. And I wonder if more people, like I've seen where some families that do family reunions have a committee, and there's like,
Mhm.
you know, 4 or 5 people, and because maybe like the family has now dispersed to different states and different cities or whatever, and somebody from that state, or two people from that state, you know, maybe half the family lives here in Texas and other half lives in New York or whatever. Those people work on that, but you're right, that is a lot. And it seems like he's always focused on family and friends, and how things appear rather than how things actually function. That's what I
Yes.
get out of him. Because like when he brought his mentees to his home, I thought, well, how inappropriate is that? Why would you feel it necessary to bring college age men around your gorgeous wife? I just don't. And then the one guy was worried about who did her hair. Like, really? What?
Mhm.
Or even before
Mhm.
that, he brought the mentees to the suit fitting for the wedding. I thought that was odd.
Oh yeah, right. Where were his boys? Where were his frat brothers at? Like, why would you care? I mean, I get that he puts a lot of attention into the mentees because a lot of them are
Yes.
coming from homes where they don't have fathers, much as he didn't have a father until he was 17, which I question that whole thing. Once again, this whole season really is about fathers, all the missing fathers and all the kids' lives, except for Kirsten. And I don't know who else. I mean, like some of them have the fathers, like with Nicole, her father is there. Parents got divorced, but she still knew her father. She
Mhm.
still spent time with her father. But this whole thing of like him bringing the mentees, like you said, yeah, when he was trying on the tuxedo, I don't understand. I didn't understand the purpose of that. I think he's way too invested in other people's children. Because, oh, by the way, did you guys catch when he said at the house or wherever it was, he was saying like, and that's when he did sound like he was being a college professor. He said, because we don't know whether we may have children this year or in
Mm-hmm.
5 years. I was like, what, dude? What are you
Mm-hmm.
talking about? Like, what did you
Yep.
get married for if you don't want to have children? What is your
Yeah.
whole purpose? Because, like, to me, I mean, not saying that everybody has to have them, but at their age, in their 30s, like what?
Yeah. He brought the children up first too, and then when she
Right.
started talking about it, that's when he said that. It's like it's
Yeah.
okay for him to say it, but for her to say it, then he somehow starts to feel pressured.
He's very shady when it comes to spending any money on this woman. And I'm just thinking, like, there's no marriage that I'm going to be involved in where you're not going to spend money on me, baby.
Thank
So
you.
No,
get
that's
your
right.
finances together, and I don't care about your student loans. Pay them off a little bit, a dweeb at a time, like everybody else I know. My broker, my insurance broker, years ago was telling me his wife had went back to college at the great age of like, I don't know, I think 50 to be an attorney. And those bills, you know, to be an attorney, the credit hours are extremely high. She went to a top-notch school here in this area. And she said, you
Mm.
know what? She didn't care if she ever paid those loans off. She was going to pay them, you know, she was going to pay them and keep her credit rating high. But the point of it was, she said she didn't care if she ever paid them off because the whole point of her, she was going to be an attorney. So, I mean,
Mhm.
like him sitting there worrying about his student loans, like as if he can't pay them a little bit at a time, like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
what? You know, like what is your deal, dude? Like,
Well, I mean,
is your bill are your bills more important than your marriage and your family life? You're gonna have to pick and choose, sir. If you want to be single, then stay single
And pay your student loans off.
and pay your
well, I
student
mean,
loans
Yeah.
off.
Before you
so
make a commitment to get married.
But
right.
now
Which
you're
will
And
probably
married
be most
and
of his life because did anybody
yeah,
catch this? Is it just me? But did anybody catch early on that Shaq was talking about his dating life, and he specifically said that he never kept a relationship because he always knew that his job and moving around was more important to him than a woman.
yeah,
So
right.
yeah.
okay,
I remember him. I remember him saying something like that.
Yep.
I remember that. But I mean, with I mean, I'm gonna
go
be a little.
ahead.
I'm gonna be a little devil's advocate. Maybe she got some Louboutins and some Fendi and Chanel and Gucci bags in the closet that we didn't see, maybe hidden somewhere that we don't know about. And maybe he sees her spend it and he don't want her spending up her money. Who knows? Like sometimes people are steady counting what's your wallet because they think you're gonna be dipping in theirs. You never know what's going on behind the scenes. you
Mm-mm.
know,
You're right.
and
I mean,
you know what I
right.
mean? And he's thinking about get paying off these student loans because for him to be in a doctorate program, I mean, he could have a lot of student loans and he wants to pay those off and get rid of them if he's going to have a family and she's going to stay home, like I said earlier. Like we you know, we don't know. So who knows what he could be thinking? And some people are just they think about the money and they're frugal and everything else. So who knows what's going through his mind
Hmm.
thinking about that. That's the only thing, you know, about it, you
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. I don't know this thing with Shaq. I don't know. We're gonna find out, I guess, this upcoming episode because the therapist is actually going to question Kirsten about whether or not she feels that Shaq is masculine. And I'm sitting here with bated breath
Oh.
to figure out what she's gonna say because I definitely don't. I'm sorry, guys. You can be angry with me. Drop it down in the comment section. Not here on the video, but down in the true comment section. Do you feel like he's masculine? Okay, do you feel like you think he's metrosexual? I don't know. You can call it what you want, but me myself, I'm old school, and it ain't hitting on no masculinity to me. But now, I think it was Mocha. We talked earlier in the week. I feel like though a good point was brought up. Mocha brought up a good point. He's definitely not a leader either. He's not a strong leader, and that's a problem for me specifically. That may not be a problem for any other woman, but I feel like if the man is to be the head of the house, he must have good, strong leadership qualities. So Shaq is always sitting back in the cut waiting for Kirsten to say this or do that. He couldn't even get up the nerve to kiss her. There was a time on one of the episodes when she was practically waiting for him to kiss her and he did not do it. Like, what, sir? You're gonna have to take the lead at some point in time.
Yeah.
Mocha, was
Well,
that you? Mocha, did
yeah,
I?
yeah. He may not be as masculine of a man as she wants. Like me, he's for me, for my taste, he's not as masculine as a man as for my taste.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone like him, I'm gonna run you over, sir. I'm gonna run you over. I'm gonna back up the bus, and I'm gonna run you over again.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
because he for me he doesn't have the backbone that I need, and he may not have the backbone for her. She it seems like she may need someone that's a little tougher, and to me there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone's different. He's gone
Yes.
through some different experiences and everything, but he's just, you know, he's just not that one for her, and she may be thinking, well, I can get him to do this or I can get him to do that, but how long is that really going to last
It's not.
before she gets tired of it? She's
I
not
feel
going to
like
want to stay married to someone like that.
I feel like it's not going to last very long. I don't know whose microphone. We're getting a lot of noise from somebody's microphone. So if you could close your mics if you're not speaking. If you guys could close your microphone if you're not speaking right now. I feel like we're getting a lot. He's like, it's like Shaq. He needs. It's almost like he would have been. He would have done really well in the military. It's almost like he needs someone to tell him what to do. And that is a problem for a lot of women, not all women, because there are some women have no problem. Like I watched the interview with Sue Ann from Ready to Love, and she said it herself. She loves a man that can lead her because she does a lot of that in her work as a top-notch attorney, right? So this is a very important quality in a man. But if you're just always sitting around waiting for me to do all the leading, me to show all the affection. You never have an original thought in your head, or you have that original thought, but you don't know how to execute it. There's a problem. LMV, I'm trying to understand your comment. When you said the therapist didn't mean it that way, she wanted him to be aggressive and showing he wants Kirsten. Okay. Is that what you're saying? Like aggressive in that sense? But she did use the term masculine. She didn't say
Yeah.
aggressive or she didn't say assertive. She specifically said masculine. So I guess that the question would come down to all of us, what, individually, how do we define masculinity? What does each individual woman want if she wants a masculine man? What are those characteristics to her? Because everybody is not going to agree, just like with men. Men think of what a feminine woman is, and it's going to vary from man to man, right? Based upon his experiences,
Hmm.
based upon his mother that raised him or his grandmother, Okay, it's going to vary. It's going to vary as to how do we begin to define these terms of masculine, feminine, metrosexual is some new thing, new age thing that just came about. So I don't know a whole lot about that, except that apparently it means a guy that gets his nails done and he's good with his grooming. But I've always liked a well-groomed man, but I still want him to be masculine. So it's not that he's not doesn't have good hygiene. He doesn't groom himself. He doesn't go take care of all the things that need to be taken care of and clip the nose hairs out of his nose and all that good stuff. But I still want him to be masculine. For me, that means leadership. For me, that means having a plan, a vision, and being able to execute that plan and be competent at it, to also have confidence. These are things that I consider to be strong and valuable in a man. Now, Kimberly, you want to go ahead and chime in on that? Your thoughts as we wrap up?
Oh yeah, I agree. To me, I don't see him as masculine. So I think that was a little bit of Kirsten's hesitation from the beginning on top of the ball head. So I look forward to hearing her answer as well. But in the clip, she did kind of hesitate, and that would have been enough. No matter what she says after that, that's enough to say no, he's not masculine to her. But to me, it's very important in relationships for my man to be masculine, and that's why from the beginning I just deemed Shaquille my friend in my head. I was not attracted to him at all because he did show to be a little more in touch with his feminine side, and it was just too much for me.
Yeah, yeah. It was too much for me too. It's just everything about the way he carries himself. Oh, one last thing. Okay, we got to cover this. We're gonna go. We got a couple minutes to cover this. What did you guys think about the scene? The couples were together on a double date and doing God knows what, some kind of game they were playing. I don't know. But the only thing I really care about is the scene, the part when they get to the scene where Jasmine and Shaq are sitting on top of the car and they're talking about their relationships, their marriages to the other people. And she asked him, first of all, how does he feel about never having met his wife's father, which I find very alarming, considering
Mm.
that Kirsten says that she's a daddy's girl. I don't know any daddy that's got a daddy's girl that loves his daughter that's not going to be at his daughter's wedding. He's not going to come step forward to meet her husband to see how she's being treated. I find that very shady, Kirsten. I don't believe that you're a daddy's girl. I don't think your dad was a good provider, because if he had been a good provider, he wouldn't have divorced your mom when you were only 8 years old. That's my thought on men that are good providers. He wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have left your mother with three children, three whole children to raise on her own. And I don't know what your father does. You keep saying he's always at the shop. I don't know if that's a barber shop, a mechanic shop, or what kind of shop that is, but something really going on with that. But the part I want to talk about, we're gonna skip past that. But what about the part when he told her that she is beautiful inside and out, ladies? How do we feel about that?
I think that was
Wait,
cool.
Yeah,
wait.
yeah,
Shaq told Kirsten that. I'm trying to
Yes,
yeah.
remember.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I
that
was
was cool. He
Wait.
was
impressed.
just trying to make her feel better. I think he
Or you mean
Well, hold on, Mocha. Hold on, Mocha.
I'm
Hold on. Go
confused
ahead.
of who told who that.
Shaq told Jasmine that while they were
Okay.
on sitting on
Okay.
top of the car. It had been shown as a highlight before it even happened. So I don't know how you didn't see that part, but go ahead, Ro, what you were saying.
Yes, I think it was very nice of him to do that. I think that, the two of them probably were a little trauma bonding there because they seem to be kind of on the same level with their spouses. So I think he picked up on the fact that she was feeling somewhat, dejected and from Eris, and he was just trying to boost her ego. I didn't think anything other than that. I didn't think he was trying to come on to her. I didn't think, that
Okay.
she was picking up on it like that either. I think that he was just being like a good friend.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly, did
Yep.
you catch that too? Did you catch that scene? What were your thoughts about it? Thank you, Ro. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
Yeah, I think it was just Shaquille being the mentor. He is very positive and uplifting. And I think that that is what Jasmine needed at that moment in time. Another man to, kind of validate her because her husband is not doing it. And he's right. She is beautiful inside and out. So I'm glad he took that point to took that time to bring that point out. And I also agree with Roro. I don't think he was flirting. A lot of people are saying that he was flirting with Jasmine, but I just didn't see that as a flirt.
Okay. I didn't either. I don't think he was flirting with her. But it sure was nice though. And I think that you're right. I think it was nice, and Roro too. I think that it was nice that he validated Jasmine in that moment. I think
Mhm.
she needed that validation, and I hope that she's able to get help, counseling or therapy, to really validate herself and to understand that the first time when a man says he's not attracted to you, drop him like a hot potato. Don't even look back. Just keep it moving, because there's no
Yeah.
man in the world. I don't care if it's Idris Elba or more the guy Kojo, or not Kojo, the handsome guy that's married to his wife's an actress and he's an
Oh,
actor.
Boris
Boris.
Kojo.
Or yeah, Boris Kojo. Yeah, Boris Kojo. Because when I said Kojo, of course, my mind went to YouTube Kojo. But there's no man, no matter how fine, no matter how accomplished, there's no man out there that is higher up than you that he's going to be looking down his nose to say, like the way her husband has been doing all along, like Eris. Eris has been looking down his funky little nose at Jasmine, like, like just like his cousin, like taking this attitude that she's less than, because she knew from the get go that her own cousin wasn't ready for marriage. But you want to jump in on his bandwagon and put this woman down on national TV. Both of you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Both of you ought to
Hmm.
be, because he
Yeah.
looks like an ant, and her, well, she can't even get a bra to fit her properly to hold her. Anyway,
Y'all
I
tripping with this
digress.
amp.
I
The amp.
digress.
Skeletor.
I digress. I'm sorry. And I'm not usually nasty. You guys know that. I am not usually nasty. I think and there's a whole conversation going on between Wes of Stay Tuned Reviews and LMV as to how a man can lead and yet get his woman to value her opinion. I think it's very possible. You do that. It's very possible to do that. It's like, how do you represent someone when they're not there? It's very possible to represent someone, to understand what their needs are, understand what their wants are, and to represent them. And sometimes you're called to be the leader. Doesn't mean that she doesn't lead in areas where maybe she's outstanding and he's not as good. He's really poor at certain things, right? But it's a modern world, and I think that everybody just has to have that, find that blend. Um, Thank you. Stay tuned. Everybody has to find that blend, and basically what works for your household may not work for my household, and vice versa.
Hmm.
But everybody just has to find that blend. Um, I want to thank everyone that's here, especially our panel. We have Roro for real. I want to thank her. She's also an A team member, as is Mocha Mima. And I just realized our whole panel here, as is Kimberly Reviews. Guys, you're all part of the A team, and I love you and I thank you for it. We know that Kimberly has her own channel here on YouTube, so definitely look her up and subscribe to Kimberly Reviews. And also, Mocha Mima
Thank
has a
you.
brand. Oh, you're welcome. And also, Mocha Mima has a brand new channel. I'm trying to wrap this up because we know we got another one. We got 6:30. We got Ready to Love coming up, and tomorrow,
Hmm.
Mocha Mima and I shall be back with Seeking Brother Husbands. Okay.
Yep.
Okie dokie.
Yep. So we'll all be back. We want to thank you for being here. Like, share, subscribe, become a member. We appreciate all of you for being here, supporting, and staying until the end. And we're going to slide our way on out of here because we have another podcast in less than an hour. So, guys, thanks again.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care.
Yep. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.